Good evening. You have tuned into an episode of Friends with Death Benefits. Today we're going to tackle a lengthy episode dealing with a story of a girl named Ginger and her best friend and the ramifications that suicide has on us as survivors. We are so happy that you could tune in. Enjoy the next hour. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into an hour of Friends with Death Benefits. Thanks so much. We're happy to be here.
Are we?
Yeah, let me. Okay, listen, that's Justin. He's my co-host. I'm Tiff Mussman. He's eager to get on the mic here. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I was just messing around. I'm
Come
happy
on.
to be here.
No, I'm just now you're on.
I don't mean to
now
be
you're on.
facetious.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, you asked me that earlier in the week. You said, "Are you doing okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing okay," rhetorically. And then I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing all right."
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm not fine."
Which is why I ask. I mean, you know.
Well, I know it's like you don't find it ever like a rhetorical thing, like you respond in a way and you don't think that you're gonna.
Do I expect that on average? No, but
Yeah,
it's all
I
right.
mean, like like when somebody will ask you, like, "Hey, man, how you doing today?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay."
You got it. No one really wants it. You know what I mean? We've talked about it. It's like you ask. It's like you don't mean it.
Yeah, right.
But that'd be a weird response too, right? Hey, are you okay? You don't care. You don't want to know. You don't mean it.
You don't
real
mean
weird.
That would be weird. Gosh, if somebody did that to me, then I would feel like I'd have to argue. I'd be like, "No, I really do, man. I wouldn't have asked if I didn't care." But like, I'm just a grocery.
But then you
Checker.
start questioning yourself. Do I care? Am I living a lie? I don't know.
Listen, what we're trying to say here is grief is confusing.
It is.
It's confusing.
It's a weird thing.
It is. So what's happening? What's the world of Justin looking like the last week?
Yeah, well, we took a week off.
We took a week off to shred some guitars.
Yeah, we hung out in church basements. That was fun.
Yeah. It's a photography studio.
It is.
Yeah.
It's no longer a church.
Oh, it was a church?
Yeah. The whole thing used to be a church.
What? That makes sense.
Did you hang out there all night and just figure that out?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. So that was a sidebar.
Our friend Lori Cook, very good photographer.
Very good.
She's a cool lady.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, fan of the show. They invited us over for pizza, and I jammed with her husband and son.
I watched Justin shred some serious guitar.
I feel like Tiff never thinks I'm good at this stuff.
Okay, listen, I was already going to go into this. Okay, like, listen, especially ladies out there, if you're listening to this. When guys say, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm, like, actually a really good cook. I'm actually a very fantastic cook. I can make all of the things and whatever." And then they get there, and then it's just like, what? I thought you said you could cook. So Justin tells me I first made him. He's like, I can cook. And I was like, okay, yeah, right. And then he cooks, and he's a great cook. So, yes, I was surprised. Also, Justin, yeah, I played in some bands, man. I can play pretty much any instrument, whatever. It's just a natural gift. And he never said it like that.
I don't remember that
He
exactly.
never said it like that. But it was just kind of like, he says he can play these guitars and shit. And I should have known after he, slayed in the kitchen that he wasn't lying to me about the thing. But listen, I need proof. But he got up there and he killed it.
I like to
it was great to watch.
under-promise and over-deliver.
Yeah.
And I'm bad at a lot of stuff. So the few things I'm okay at, I usually
Try to excel.
I try to at least, brag about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's been an interesting couple weeks. It's we're into February now, which is my mom's birthday month. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be my mom's first birthday since she's been gone. That'll be an interesting thing to tackle, but
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge as we come to it, I suppose. But
Any thoughts of what you might do?
I don't know. I'm still like in a weird place where I want to think about it, her, and like try to like have positive like memories and thoughts and stuff, but it's still like super heavy
Yeah.
to even like go there at all. So it's kind of weird. But my wife had this idea of like doing different things every day that like remind us of her, like food she liked, places she liked to go, different things. And we've been kind of trying that a little bit.
That's great.
So
So maybe it'll be like Christmas, like the actual day won't be as sucky
right.
as you think, like
build up to it.
Yeah. And so if you're occupying your brain ahead of time, then good on you.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Good on you. Right on. That's good. Glad to hear you're making some steps.
Yeah,
Put together some good days.
They're stumbly at times.
Yeah, it's okay.
We're stepping.
It's okay. Yeah.
What about you? You anything new or weird going on?
Oh yeah, at all times. At all times. I don't know. It's a lot to really go into, but yeah, just dipping more into the personality changes, and I don't love that, and just the ways that my mind has been altered, and a lot of fear stuff going on right now, which I'm not a fan of, specifically about Claire, my daughter, just trying to parent her, through this, and just having this overwhelming fear that I'm going to lose her also, and that I'm just going to be childless. It's just, it's really been messing with my head for a while. Just there's a lot of components to it, but so that's where I am. But
that's the water I'm swimming in.
That's the water I'm swimming in right now. But I've got some good things that I'm, Sunday I woke up and I thought my only goal today is to not worry. I'm giving myself a practical goal, and all I'm going to do today is not worry. And every time I felt like the fear entering in, I would address it and put it down, or as a lot of Christians say, give it up, or give it over. Turned a little bit more to my faith in that way. Had a real talk with God on Friday. I was like, yo, listen, I don't like where I am right now, and I could really use a little assistance, if you would, sir. And that's literally how I pray in my car when I'm driving, because I don't always turn to prayer like when I'm struggling, and so sometimes I just have to have a real conversation like I would with a regular person.
I like how urban you pray, like, hey yo, what up?
Hey yo, big guy up there. Yeah, it is.
What it do, God?
What it do? But yeah. So, and we'll get more into that. But we have limited time, and we have a very amazing guest that I'm super excited. I've been waiting probably since we started this show.
We keep talking people into coming on here somehow.
People want to share. You act like we accost them, and it isn't. It's actually a tough like
sell.
That.
It's a tough sell if you think about it. You know what I mean? To come in
I don't feel like I've had that experience. I feel like people really do want to talk about it. Once you lay it out there, like, hey, like I explained to Lisa, who's our guest here today, like, I just think it would be a great perspective. And a lot of people want to talk about it. They just don't know how. Mm-hmm. But it is a tough sell if you just go into it and be like, hey, you want to come on and do our podcast and talk about a bunch of sad stuff?
That's what I'm saying.
But everybody has different perspective. And so that's, I like to unearth that a little bit. So that's why we brought Lisa in today. Lisa, say hi.
Hi.
How are you?
You know what? I'm great, thanks.
Good.
How are you guys?
We're good. I mean, you live. Well, no. Well, I don't know. We don't know how we are.
Okay.
We're
I don't, that's awkward, so don't tell me about your bullshit. But
yes.
tell me something. No, just go, yes, I'm fine.
Yes,
thanks.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Lisa, if you ever meet Lisa in public, or if you know who Lisa is, from now on, if she asks you how you are, you always say fine.
Oh,
don't be rude and tell
she
her.
wants you to say that.
You know what though? I have a couple of friends, well, probably just more like acquaintances, that if somebody asks them, hey, how are you? They'll go, oh my God, you don't even know my day. And I'm just like, no, I'm not fucking asking you really. I'm just asking you. It's sort of a substitute for the
slightly
hello.
rhetorical.
Instead, I just say, how are you doing? And I don't actually need you to tell me. Don't tell me. If I want to know, how are you doing? I will ask you in a different tone.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I like that.
If I'm at Target and I'm buying fucking bananas, don't tell me how you're doing.
Right.
Just say, hey.
It makes sense.
Hey, good, how are you?
And if you're in the mindset where you need to unload on an acquaintance in the banana aisle, you probably shouldn't be at Target anyway.
Oh my God, I could tell you stories. People, I don't know what it is, but people just tell me shit sometimes that I don't want to hear.
Yeah, I think that happens. I feel like everyone in this room has that face that's just like, hey, unload. all of your emotional stuff all over me.
I was at Walmart one time, and a girl that I had met maybe twice, 3 times, max. I used to work at an insurance company, and she was a customer there. And I was at Walmart looking at pillowcases. I mean, just in and out, kind of like, oh, see if there's pillowcases. And she was in the pillow section, and she stopped to tell me about this horrifying murder that she had witnessed in Des Moines. I mean, she told me the details of this. I mean, so much. And I remember like kind of in the middle of it. And she's like, well, they're doing a documentary about me. And it was on like the Ion channel, you know, and it was called like, you know, Killer Friends or something like that, because it was a group of friends.
Okay.
And she told me this whole thing, and she saw it. She had seen it happen, and she was the one who tipped police off to what had happened. And anyway, so she's telling me this horrible, and I mean real bad story. And in the middle of it, I just go, oh, wow, that's a lot. And she goes, it really was a lot. And I go,
Yeah.
for you too?
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. People don't realize how they open the floodgate when they, it's like, that's a lot. Like I literally came in here for some crisp white linens. I didn't expect to leave.
You had a rare out there though that you didn't use. Like if you got into that story where it got a little heavy, you could have like, you know what? I'm just going to check out the documentary. I got to go. So then you just.
Oh,
leave.
I had to ask her when. She's like, I can tell you the channel, and I was like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Like Larry told me the whole story.
But you already got the
synopsis.
synapsis.
Yeah, I don't
so
actually need it.
you don't need it now. So, but good looking out there though, Justin.
Yeah.
If that ever happens to any of you,
Rarely
that are
when
listening,
someone
if I
unloads
see her
on you is there a
again.
DVD available. You know?
this is an escape room.
It's not a thing that happens a lot.
You're right. It's a very rare occurrence. So okay, so we brought Lisa in today because we've been talking about tackling the topic of suicide, which is something that's obviously near and dear to me. But I don't.
It's
how
a
do you say
real
that?
weird way to put it.
Yeah, something that's so very near and dear to my heart.
I snuggle with it.
Suicide is very special to me.
Special.
Well-
it's very special. Okay, tell me how you would say it.
Well,
It's
that-
something
Is it
that's
close to
affected.
home?
And
It's
that's fine.
something that has affected my life.
I would like you to say it just how you said it.
Okay,
I would
thank
never.
you.
I would never edit.
Maybe
you.
don't chastise me as much. Then.
Well, I can't promise that.
Okay.
But I'll say that. So when we first started this show, I think we're on episode 12 now. A few weeks in, the local newspaper, the Globe Gazette, was super cool and did a story on our show. And Lisa was who interviewed us. And
No, Jared interviewed you. I took your picture.
oh yeah, you took our
She's the
pictures. You were
photographer.
there though,
Yes.
at the conference table, hanging out. And in the process of telling the story and stuff, we ended up chatting a ton about each other's stories and kind of put the bug in your ear about possibly coming in, and that's how we got to tonight. I think.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
a good
yes.
way to.
And as I was trying to say earlier, like I've been really excited to have you.
Thanks.
Just because, well, there's a lot of different reasons I like being in the same room with you, but one of the things that I was excited about having you on the show was that you and I have sort of walked through the same weedy path, and as far as like being a survivor of suicide, and we both knew the same person that you were you were personally affected by. So I mean, you're creative and funny and witty and so freaking bright that I wanted to just get an articulate depiction of what it's really like for somebody who's has gone through this.
I love doing podcasts.
Not to mention, you have a huge crush on her voice, and
I
you just
do.
wanted to
Oh my
listen
gosh.
to it.
Yes,
I have
it's
a
so
good
good.
voice.
You do have a good voice.
Yeah, so it was 4 years ago. Well, you know what? We'll rewind. We're going to rewind. Okay. So my best friend, we had sort of a trio, the Three Musketeers. There's 3 of us, me and my friend Ginger and my friend Tracy. And I met Ginger when she was like 19 or 20. She wasn't old enough to drink yet. I know that. And there was a 19 bar in town, and so she'd go to that. Her cousin was a bartender there. So anyway, that's where we met. And she's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years younger than me. But she wasn't 19-y, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she was, but she wasn't. She'd be goofy, and she liked attention. She liked to be the center of attention, and she loved having fun and partying. But she, then when you talk to her, aside from being out,
So smart.
she was so smart.
So smart.
She was extremely bright. She read a lot. Her and I had like exact same taste in music and TV and pop culture, and so we just really hit it off like right out of the gate. So we started, kind of hanging out, and then a few months later, I think that same year, our other friend Tracy moved to town. She was from Des Moines, or she was from here originally, and then moved away and came back. And Tracy was going out with my friend Weaver, and so we just all started hanging out. I was already hanging out with Ginger and Weaver, and you had Tracy just kind of joined, and we all became like the Three Musketeers. Along the way, I knew Ginger had some issues, I think, with depression. Her house was really cluttered, and some of it was dirty, and then sometimes it would be super clean, and there was just no way to tell, really. And I know that's kind of a sign. You stop kind of grooming, and you stop taking care of stuff when you can't function. And so I kind of knew something was cooking with her, but and we'd talk about it every once in a while. But then after a few years, she started kind of, she'd say stuff like, I just want to go sleep and never wake up. And I remember talking to her and being like, dude, that's unhealthy. This is unhealthy. You have to go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't go. So, that was over the course of probably probably longer than that. I mean, I knew her for 15 years. So probably 7-ish years that she tried to do it on her own, tried to medicate. She would, she'd buy like Percocet from people and drink enough to get herself loopy and take one. She would be absolutely
out of her mind.
Yeah. People just thought she was a sloppy drunk, and she wasn't. She just was doing that so she could sleep at night. She had insomnia really bad, and she'd do it and be able to crash when she got home. And I kept telling her, like, dude, you're going to OD. Yeah. Oh, my God. So, she was trying to, like, find other ways to cope. I said, you got to go to the doctor, you got to go to the doctor, you got to go to the doctor. Finally, she started sort of admitting, like, okay, I can't keep up with this. Like, my anxiety is, she had anxiety, she had depression. Her anxiety was such that she couldn't drive her car at night. She couldn't, she didn't want to go on county roads because she thought a deer would come out. She, just a lot of, like, simple stuff that hadn't really affected her before all of a sudden just started being really, really, sort of suffocating, essentially. Like, it really closed in. Well, so, like, is this making sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, all right. So we'll cut to, her and I she was, let me just talk for a second about what a good friend she was. She was a good person. She was a good friend. I remember, like, when my grandpa had died and things were chaotic at my grandma's house, my family was arguing, and I was always kind of the person that my uncles and stuff would come to talk, you know what I mean? Right. I don't know. And I was having a really, like, just a rough time. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anybody die. And Ginger like called me, and I was like, that was weird because we didn't really talk on the phone as that much. You know, we would text how people text. So she called me and I go, did you mean to call me? And she's like, yeah. What are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm at my grandma's. And she goes, okay, well, I need you to come back to town. You need a break. We're going to the movies.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And so she, you know, she was just these kind of little things that her and I had kind of a bond over. And, you know, it bugs me, I guess, that people associate her so closely with bar life, the bar. She liked
That's
to party.
how I knew her.
Yeah,
And so
that's how
actually,
everybody
as you were
does.
saying that just a moment ago about the Percocet and the alcohol, the Ginger that I knew was party animal. Like falling down drunk
Yep.
and stuff. And I mean, but I knew her outside of that environment too, but I had no idea. And I mean, I have goosebumps just now, like, because I had no idea that the pill thing was even happening too.
Yeah, she.
Yeah.
It
That
wasn't
for
a.
sleep.
It wasn't a. Yeah, it wasn't a buzz thing for her.
Yeah,
It was a
wow.
sleep thing. She had insomnia so bad, and I mean, it just really shook her. And, it just seemed like that was I don't know how she sustained it as long as she did, because she'd get to a point, she'd take one, she'd have 2-3 beers and then take one and then it would be like she drank a bottle of vodka. I mean, just out of her
I think
brain.
a lot of people are really like ignorant to what a crazy combo pills and alcohol is.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people don't know as many people are doing that as they are, and
Yeah.
two, they might not know what it looks like. Like you said, people just think you're super drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my mom was the same way. She took a lot of Lortab and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and drink, and like it just like they're cool and then they're not. And
It
it's
changes
just-
who you are, and it changes people would text me and call me and be like, can you come pick up your friend? She's a mess right now. Like she's sleeping at the bar, she's screaming at the top of the lungs, whatever it is, she's and sometimes I would go get her and sometimes I wouldn't, and we would talk about it, her and I. And her thing, she had this like sing-songy voice when I would talk to her, and she would just go, I know. And she'd speak to you in a way like, I just believe her. She'd be like, no, I got this under control. Here's the thing. I'm doing this, da-da-da-da, but I have, this worked out and this worked out, and I'm going to go see a doctor and da-da-da-da. And so it was hard to, I just trusted her. I trusted her judgment. I trusted, she's an adult. I'm an adult. We're adults. Like, do what you want. But at the same time, it was sort of like on my radar. Her anxiety got really, really bad. I said, you need to go to the doctor. This was the summer of 2016. In July, she called me or she texted me, and I had a client at my desk, and she was having just a mad panic attack, like crazy mad. And she's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, okay, I can't leave, but you got to go to the hospital. So she ended up getting hold of Tracy, our other friend, and Tracy took her to the hospital. She drove herself to the hospital the first time. I take that back. They turned her away. She went in having a panic attack. They thought she was a pill seeker. They're like, basically, we're not giving you benzos if that's what you're here for. And she's like, I'm not here for that. I need to be seen. And they're like, well, you're just having an anxiety attack. You need to do some breathing exercises and have some water and get some rest. And they sent her home. And then she got home and called again. And she's like, I'm scared to death. I can't. I need to be. I need to be there. So Tracy took her back and went in with her, and they listened. She came back and she's like, this is unsustainable. I don't think she used that verbiage, but basically, so they admitted her into 5 East, or whatever it's called now, It's not ever been called 5Es. But,
Yeah.
But anyway, they admitted her.
To the mental health.
Yeah, mental health clinic. And she texted me and she's like, they're admitting me. And I was like, thank God. She's like, I'm really scared. And I go, I know, but oh man, this is what you need. Like, you're going to feel so much better. So you'll at least figure it out. They'll be able to prescribe you meds. You're going to have somebody there taking care of you and calming you down. And that's all you need to do right now. So she was there, I think, 4 days. And yeah, she was there like 4 days. After that, so that was like the end of July. Within about a week, she had started meds. She had her first appointment with a psychiatrist, but it was a month out. And she started the meds, and they don't work immediately. They have to. They take a couple weeks, but her symptoms obviously weren't going away, and she started becoming frustrated. And I was like, just stick with it. Do not stop taking anything. Don't. So she didn't. She took everything. About a week later, Tracy and I always have a joint. Well, we used to, kind of stopped it, but a joint birthday party. And Ginger had, because our birthdays are a week apart. Ginger had messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm not going to come to the party this year. I just don't feel right taking my meds and drinking at the same time. And I know if I'm out with you guys, I'm going to want to drink with you guys. So I'm just going to hang out. But can we have lunch the day before instead? And, we'll hang out." Well, yeah, absolutely. So I chatted with her. We had sushi. We talked forever. She's like, "I talked to my therapist. I really like her. I think it's gonna work. I feel like this is gonna be okay." And I was like, feeling more calm. Like, is your stuff kicking in yet? And she's like, "No, but I know it will."
Feeling like she had control over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she felt like she was in a good place and happy to be on a regimen that would, regulate her. The next day was a Saturday. We did a full day birthday party with about 25 people. And we call it day on the green, night on the town. And we go golfing, and it's a big, like 25 of us go golfing. And we go golfing and, obviously have some beers. Head home, everybody heads home and gets ready. And then we head up to the plaza, usually to the quarry. And the thing is we always dress up, me and Tracy dress up like it's formal night on a cruise ship.
So, yes.
So each year we would buy these just like evening gowns.
Oh my God.
Evening gowns. And we wear evening gowns to the quarry. And it was so much fun. We did it for years. Well, anyway, so we're, golfing and everything's fine. And she texted and was like, "I miss you guys. I hope you're having so much fun. And I'm really sorry I can't be there, but I'm thinking about you all day, whatever." She texted again when we were at dinner. We had all already been drinking. I'd like to point out that we had a safe driver.
Okay, good job.
We all had a ride home. So anyway, she texted me and Tracy both and just basically gave us a list of all the pills she just took. And it was, I think 30 pills or 32 right in there, like a lot. And Tracy, like we both like got it at the same time. And I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" Tracy tried to call Ginger's boyfriend. And I texted her and I was like, "You need to call 911, like right now." So I go, like, she's not texting back. And then she texts back and she said, "I'm sorry. I love you. Hopefully people won't be too mad at me." And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm drunk. Oh my God, I'm drunk. What am I supposed to do? Like, I can't go to her house, you know, whatever. And she lived in an apartment building. So I called 911. I ran around the corner in heels and called 911. And then, because I'm a shitball, I couldn't give them her address because I didn't know it. Because it's an apartment building, and I know exactly where the apartment building is.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't know the street address. I was like, oh, shit, I don't know. And I'm trying to explain it, and I'm giving them the best of the landmarks. Like every landmark. And I was like, I know you know where this is. And she's like, oh, well, I can only go by her driver's license. And I go, I am telling you, dude, she moved. She does not live at that driver's license address any longer. Here's where she lives. I promise. I promise, I swear.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, I think we found like a parking ticket or something that they found something that had her address on it. So we just stood there, and I'm just shaking, my hands shaking, and I'm trying to text her, and I'm like, dude. Texting, dude. I was probably saying it too. Mm-hmm. And then we saw the ambulance go by. And then it's just like, it was super surreal. It was just very, you know, what do you do? Like, we're drinking. We have 25 guests at dinner. We are drunk. We can't go to the hospital drunk.
Right. We can't support
what can we do?
Yeah.
What can we do? Right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know, Tracy, she's like, do we just go home or whatever? And I go, no, let's, you know, we'd be better if we were hanging out together. So let's just keep going. And I said, but I'm going to quit drinking now. And I don't know that I did that, though. But anyway, while we were standing there, then we saw the ambulance go by a second time. And we knew she was in there, obviously. And that was it was like just chilling because it came through and the sirens were on and it lights up the whole plaza because of all the glass. And it was just like, I don't know, it was weird. She called me the next morning from the hospital at like 7:15. And she's like, hi. And I go, hello. And she goes, okay, well, I just want to say thank you for calling 911. I was just in a really bad place, and I'm like asking her a dozen questions like I'm her mom. And I was like, did they pump your stomach? And she's like, I don't think so. And then she asked the nurse, she's like, did they pump my stomach? And they're like, no, they gave her something else. But I go, what were you doing? Like, what happened? What happened? And she's like, I don't know. I just sat there. And she's like, I did start drinking. And I go, okay. She goes, I just couldn't. She goes, I had this like thought that my boyfriend was going to leave me. I'm not going to say his name, but I thought he was going to leave me. And I thought, what would I do if he leaves me? And then I go, are you breaking up with him? And she's like, no. And I go, okay. And then she's like, I got so scared and I couldn't come back. And she's like, I just did not want to feel like that ever again. And she's like, that's all I could think of to do. She's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to kill myself. But that's all I could think to do that would stop it. And I go, okay. So I go, so what's next? And she's like, well, I'm going to be here for a few days. I go, right. And she said, you know, they're going to go through her meds, make sure everything's good. And she has another appointment with a psychiatrist. Or maybe it was a psychologist, either way. And they wanted her to, you know, do bi-monthly with a therapist until her meds kicked in. She ended up being there quite a bit longer than she'd planned. I think 10 days. And we couldn't go see her. I think she had a roommate or there's some deal. Like, so we wanted to, and sort of at the last minute, she called and she's like, oh, yeah, that's not a thing. I was like, okay, shit. Well, and then right after that, she was out. But she told us that her parents had been up to see her, that her sister and her husband had been up to see her. That she's like, I felt embarrassed, but I told them everything that's going on and how I've been feeling. And they're really supportive and they just want me to get, better. And so, and I go, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I said, if you had a heart attack, you'd be at the hospital also. Mm-hmm. This is the wing that helps with your head. There's another wing that helps with your heart. There's another wing that helps with babies, right? I said, this isn't a thing to be, you can't help what your brain's doing.
Yeah. But it's because we don't wear it outwardly.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, and
I'd heard that
easy
same thing.
It's easy to, I think, say, well, I mean, I could relate to some of her stuff though too, which is another little side, note here. But last November, 2019. What year is this? 21. Anyway, in 2019, in November 2019, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2. And I knew I had something cooking also, and I could and that's part of the reason I could recognize it in Ginger is because I knew I had something shit happening. Mm-hmm. But I just never same with. I mean, it's literally the same. Like I just believed I could think it away or
manage,
compartmentalize or whatever. But anyway, so Ginger, she was good, and I was texting her like, hovering mother. And then she, we talked and she's like, no, I'm really good. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Because now we're into fall, right?
Now we're into fall.
And that's when the last time I saw her was I performed a wedding and you were in the wedding.
Yeah. That was also the last time I saw her in person.
Okay. And she was like, I had just gotten out of the hospital. Mm-hmm. Like I spent 10 days in the hospital.
Yeah.
Wanted to talk to me a little bit about suicide and how it affected me, and so we exchanged numbers actually, and she said that she was in a good place. She was very solitary and alone by herself. That was the one thing I think back to that interaction with her and like how she was sitting alone. She just seemed, that Ginger I always knew was like this just wild child, just always on the dance floor, especially at weddings, just laughing, like, great big toothy smile. And like, she was just alone and solitary and small. If that, she looked small in a way. And I'm haunted by that.
I remember, I remember her, I know exactly what you're talking about. Just her demeanor was so different and it made me worry a little bit. And I wasn't really getting along with her boyfriend at the time. I thought that he was not believing her. I don't know to what extent that's true now, or if she, I don't know. But I did talk to her. Her and I had a really lengthy talk that night. She had a T-shirt on that said love. Mm-hmm. She dyed her hair platinum blonde. Mm-hmm. Anyway, me, her, and Tracy like found a seat and sat and like had a mini come to Jesus, right then. Like, hey, are you good? Is everything good? What's up? And she's like, yeah, my mom's coming. She was raised by somebody else, by her stepmom, who she also called mom. But her mom was coming from Minnesota to, I think, stay a week with her to help her. They had changed her meds a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so she was just going to stay with her and kind of help her through it, essentially. I stopped texting her because I didn't stop texting her. I didn't quit talking to her. I just stopped texting her about, are you okay? Because she told me she was, and she seemed so solid. Mm-hmm. She really did. She seemed less agitated. She seemed less scattered in her thoughts and her speech. She seemed really good. She did seem a little somber, but she seemed good. And God, what's super weird is she put something on my page. Like she commented on something on my page on like the 17th of December. And I think the status was like, when I die, when my life flashes before my eyes, it's just going to be a constant reel of me saying lefty, loosey, righty, tighty. Because I have to do it all the time.
Yeah.
Or, something to that effect. And she messaged and she's like, but if there's a reel, it's probably going to be you. I can't remember how she worded it. It's probably going to be you telling all your friends the advice they know they should take, but they'll never do it. But we appreciate it anyway. And it was something really, there was just something, the way she worded it just struck me. Like, there's something weird here. Mm-hmm. It seemed a little more sentimental than normal, mm-hmm. right? It wasn't so smart-assy. It was it was just...
more profound.
It really was. It wasn't... I don't know what it was, but there was something about it that just was like... And I just think, like, I should have fucking texted her. I should have texted her. Because it just seemed weird. And I was like, I'm not going to fuck with her. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to try to push her over the... I mean, I don't want to upset her. She said she's good. She's good. And I didn't text her. And Monday night, she worked at a nursing home. I don't know exactly. I didn't really get too much into it because I didn't think I wanted the details because I felt like I was going to be really angry. She asked somebody for a key to the prescription case or whatever, however that is, safe, or I don't know how they do it in a nursing home. And she's not somebody who administers prescriptions to people. She worked in the Alzheimer's wing, but she didn't do that. At least I don't think so. But anyway, somebody gave her the keys to it. She went in there. She'd said she needed it for a patient. She went in and took 2 time-lapse, or how does that work?
Extended release.
Yeah, there you go. Fentanyl patches that you put like on a patient that's
dying.
It goes to your skin. Yeah, it's for palliative care. It goes in your skin, obviously, but it disperses at a
fast rate in your bloodstream.
Yeah. She took 2 of them and went home, laid on her couch, put them in her mouth, and sucked on them, obviously. Her boyfriend got home, and she was on the couch, but she was sleeping, and TV was on, and he said he put a blanket on her and kind of just did his own thing, went to bed, woke up a little bit later when he realized she hadn't come to bed yet, and he told me that when he came out, he knew something was the matter. Like, she didn't look like herself. So he called 911. They took her to Mercy. Mercy couldn't deal with it. She had begun swelling in her brain. They flew her in the middle of the night down to Iowa City. And the weird thing is, I didn't know about it until probably 1 the next day. And it was because somebody had talked to her boyfriend, and again, I wasn't really getting along with her boyfriend, so I get along with him now, and so that's how I know all this after the fact. But but he had reached out to somebody and was like, "Oh my God, I got to go down. Ginger's, in intensive care," and somebody put on her page, "Please pray for Ginger," and my stepdad saw it and texted me and was like, "What's going on with Ginger?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What's going on? What is going on with Ginger?" And then I go look at it, and then I call Tracy, and Tracy was actually like, she goes, "I just picked up my phone, like, what the fuck's going on?" And I go, "I don't know, dude, what the fuck's going on?" So she's like, "I'm going to call Mike," and I go, "I'm going to call Judy," which is her stepmom. Or not call, I guess I messaged her. And so at the same time, we both reached out, and Judy messaged me back, and, well, Tracy called me back first, and she goes, "She OD'd." And I go, "What?" And she's like, she's on fucking life support. And I go, "What?" And then she's like, "No, seriously, she might die." And I fucking laughed. I go, "She might die?" it just seemed like the weirdest thing to ever say to me. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I go, okay, this can't be right. That can't be right. Like, I think we would know about it, right? So then Judy messaged me, and she said, "Hi, Lisa. Ginger's in intensive care. It's not good. Really, the only thing that we have left right now is just prayer." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I just went like, I don't know. It was super weird. And right after that, I left work to go to my house for a minute. And I was driving, and I'm texting her like she's gonna fucking, like, I just don't believe it.
Yeah, right.
Like, no, her phone's with her. I mean, she's gonna text me back. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. And I texted her, and obviously she didn't text back. And I had this like weird idea that maybe I was on a certain vibration, and I could talk to her psychically.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to her psychically. Yeah. And I was pleading with her, like, just wait, and we'll talk about it, and it's going to be fine. Just wait until I can talk to you. And I had to go to work that night. I had just started at the Globe a few months before. I had a basketball game to shoot, and told my photo editor about it. And he's like, "Oh my God." Went and shot the basketball game. Had been in contact with another one of our friends. And just waiting. And I had messaged Judy, and I was like, "Any word? Is there anything, do we know?" And my friends are messaging me and being like, "We need to go down. We'll go down tomorrow." And I was like, "We're not going down unless her family says we can come down." Mm-hmm. Like, they're there. They called in the family. We're not going to go do that. So, no, hold on. Like, hold on. Of course, if anybody wants to go, it's me. But I'm not going to do that. Like, right. I'm not just going to bust in and whatever. And, not bitching about it. I'm just saying. And I was at a basketball game shooting high school basketball, and had been checking my phone on and off. And I got a message. And she said, "Hey, so-and-so wants an update on Ginger. What do I do? Do I just say that she's passed away?" And I go, Did she? Like, I hadn't heard yet. And she's like, "You didn't know that?" And I go, "How do you know that?" And she's like, "I talked to her boyfriend." And I was like, and he had it happened to be that he knew her boyfriend, or I don't remember how that worked exactly, but it was just a, rumor mill. And then my hand is like shaking, and I have a camera, and I'm trying to take pictures, and I was like, I'm going to throw up in front of all these people, or I'm going to shit my pants. I don't know. I do not know which. I do want what either. I'm trying to think of which one's going to be better. Like barf. Obviously barf's going to be better than shit, right? So I was like, okay. I did not poop myself, though, I will say. I didn't throw up either, but I also, more importantly, did not poop myself. Anyway, I went outside and called her, and we talked on the phone, and she's like, "Yeah, I talked to her boyfriend, or so-and-so talked to her boyfriend, whatever." And I go, okay. So I'm like, my phone is ringing off the hook, and I have to go edit basketball pictures before a deadline. I was like, shit, how do I do this? And I just knew with this job, and I didn't want to. Also, I just was in a daze. Like, I was like, this isn't a thing. Anyway, then Judy sent me a message. And she's like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, Ginger passed away today around 4." And this was like 7 o'clock at night. But what they had decided to do was keep her body alive long enough to give her organs to a recipient.
Yes.
Another person.
Yes.
The black market. Anyhow, I don't know. That was the story. And after that, it was the most surreal. I mean, it was 6 days before Christmas. Her funeral was 2 days after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know. I can't, sometimes I just think it's fake. Still.
Yeah.
For real, it's so surreal just because I'd spent so much time with her, like 15 years. That's a long time to be friends with somebody. And close friends. My uncle went to her funeral,
Yeah.
I don't know. After that, I didn't adjust very well, I'll say. I started boozing a little bit hard. Oh, boozing. Oh, man, boozing. Whew. Mama, still hungover, kind of. I wanted to socialize. I wanted to be out with other people. I wanted to do anything but sit at home and be by myself and have thoughts because I put off grieving, I think, for probably almost a year just because I was drunk. I really was. I mean, and I shouldn't say that. Like, I wasn't like all week. I mean, it was just the weekends pretty much. But during the week, I could find stuff to do. Like, I worked and I'd stay at work all day. I mean, till 10 o'clock at night.
Sure.
And then go home. I didn't get paid for that, but I just kind of adjusted my schedule. So I didn't have to be by myself. But then I started, my friends, Tracy started noticing that I was becoming despondent and weird. And I started becoming very reckless. And when you have bipolar, which I knew I had something similar to it, at least I kind of Googled myself. Not myself, but my stuff. I WebMD'd myself. And I really was in a terrible place. And I do I was an insurance salesperson, right? But at night, if I was out, I would drink. And I sometimes would drink a whole lot. Like at the end of the night, I'd kind of pace myself. And then I'd leave in my car because I'm an idiot. But at the end of the night, I'd chug, right? Because I was doing what she did. Like I was just like, oh, I'll sleep, right? If I'm not awake, I don't have to deal with it. Except for that, what I would do instead is I think I was going crazy. I was trying to drive to Iowa City every night, but I didn't know how to get to Iowa City. So I'd just get on the interstate and head south. Because after she passed away, they didn't have a graveside service. She was cremated, and they took her urn home. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. I was super glad she was cremated. God in heaven. But then that became an issue for me. I was fixated on it. Like, I can't go to the cemetery. I don't have any place to. It just became a weird little tick, like a little. It just ate away at me like an itch. Like, I can't see her. I can't.
No closure.
There's no, right. She's not. So I was trying to get to where the last place she was alive. And so I would drive drunk. I mean, but blackout drunk. And there were nights that I was sober enough, I guess, to turn on my Google Maps. I never got pulled over. It was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night. So fortunately, at least the roads were a little bit more bare. But I could have killed somebody. I mean, and I would wake up the next day and be so angry with myself, like just absolutely angry. Yeah. And like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You can't go do that. You can't kill somebody over this. What are you, crazy? And there'd be some nights that I didn't even know I went. I would wake up in the morning and I'd check Google to see if I drove. I had no idea. There was one night I drove. I ended up like not even near where I was supposed to be. I ended up lost. And I had a little flash of that, like a little bit came back to me when I was looking at the map, and I was like, where the fuck's this? And I'm zooming in, and it was like a gravel road, and I was like, oh God, I do kind of remember that. Just a brief flash of gravel in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I would travel 80, 90 miles a night.
Wow.
Tracy was beside herself. Like, she just absolutely thought I was going to kill myself. And I wasn't trying to, but at the same time, I just didn't care. I was just
Right.
like, whatever happens, happens.
Right.
You know, whatever. But that was like the most selfish thing I could have done, just because whatever happens to somebody else too, right? You know, like, unless I hit a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, then that still happens to my family, and it still happens to the trooper, and it's still, you know, it's a ripple effect. And I don't know. I really,
Spiraled.
I did.
Yeah.
Real hardcore.
I drank a lot after my sister's suicide. I did not do that with after I lost Ethan, but I did with after my sister's suicide, heavily, and like whiskey, just straight whiskey, you know, at night to help me sleep and stuff, and it was just compounding the pain and stuff. But it was just okay. This is really weird, and I don't know if it's relatable or not, but I almost felt like, because my sister was the party girl too. She was a ginger, and I see gingers now way different.
Yeah.
Because usually the party girl and the girl who's like the life of the party is the one that's really struggling the most. But you know, being my sister's keeper and us being so close in age, 14 months apart, we partied a lot together. And
Was she older than you?
she was 14 months older than me, yeah. And so like I feel like after her suicide, it was a way that I
Could
felt
still
like
connect
with
Yeah.
her, and I was like kind of on her level, sort of.
Yeah.
And like even in my sadness, because it was like I would sort of picture myself as her the nights that she was drinking alone or something, and like she was in her deep, you know, depths and stuff, and so it was almost like I was trying to put myself there, you know. It was really bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know that I've ever really even said that out loud, but yeah.
It's a weird. It was such a self-destructive path, and I knew it was, but at the same time, I don't know. I just felt like it's me in the world. You know what I mean? It was like I couldn't connect again with anybody else. I was having a hard time. You know, my other best friend of also almost 15 years at that time, I couldn't open up to her, and I felt like I couldn't. I'd go to the bars and stuff, and I would have a really good time, and I would talk to people I didn't really know. I didn't want to talk to people who knew her at all. I wanted to. I don't know. I just felt like. Pardon. Is the chair, I swear. I just wanted to. Like, because I'd run into people that would be like, oh my God, she was such a good friend. You guys, I'm so sorry. I loved her so much. We had so much fun together. Oh my God, but she's with you in your heart, and she's with you in your, her memory shines bright, and just all this like,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I know it does. It does shine bright. And
You dumb twat.
But fuck you.
there it is. Yes, I know. It shines bright. I know we were good friends. I know all of that. Thanks for the recap, you shitball. But they were all very nice sentiments. I mean, nobody was trying
Of
to be like,
course.
you know,
Of
but it just
course.
seed to me like you're the dumbest fucking person
like,
I've
this
ever
is not what I
talked to.
need.
Listen,
but
chick.
It's because people don't know.
Yeah,
You know?
and people don't know what to say either. Like when at her funeral, did you go to her funeral?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I remember very little of it. I had very recently a real hardcore breakdown because I remembered part of it. I really don't remember. I know that there was a band and it was like a country band or something. The style was people were kind of bitching about this stuff. They're like, that wasn't Ginger. That wasn't her style. And I go, that was her parents' style.
Yeah.
This is for her parents.
I don't know if you knew this, but they're paying for this shit.
Yeah, this is for her parents. Like, they need to be able to grieve in however way they want. And so we're not picking this apart. It doesn't matter if it was Ginger style. This is not really about her. It's about them, you know?
Yeah.
But I had a flash. Like, I just saw... I was sitting back in the chapel area, and I guess I don't even remember. Was it at a funeral home or was it at a church? I don't even remember. Church, I think.
Yeah.
I remember walking out of there, but I don't remember really a whole lot about it being in there, except for I had a flashback of the funeral director coming to the front and taking her urn away. And I remember just really fully losing it. Like, just deep breath, but it hurt from like my feet up. I just, it felt like getting stung by bees. It was just, it was horrible.
It's such a finality.
It was, and I was just like, her freckles are in there. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's just all gone. It was just weird. But, while we were there, I remember walking in with Tracy, and it was super, like, the visitation was really weird because she was cremated, and so there was no viewing, which is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
I agree.
Because, you know, they'd shaved your head and, you know, all that.
Yeah.
They just, stuff you don't want to see. But we got there, and they had a slideshow going, and her sister had reached out to me and said, hey, I want to put a slideshow together. And they had like a little bit over a week to plan the funeral just because it was around Christmas time. And she's like, do you have any that you want to, you know, go through and, you know, give me? And I go, okay. I said, listen, I can't go through them right now. I just can't. I said, there's one, if you can find it. I go, I'm wearing a Muppet shirt. And she's giving me a hug or a kiss or something. I go, I always like that one. That's a good one. She's like, a Muppet shirt? I was like, listen, bitch. No, I didn't say that. But yeah, it was a Muppet shirt.
Yeah, you don't know if you're coming or going.
Yeah.
At that point.
It was a Muppet shirt, though. It was like a Bert and Ernie or something. Cookie Monster. It was Bert. It was Grover. I don't remember what it was. It was one of those little shits. Hand puppet, anyway. And anyhow, when we got to the funeral home, she had gotten into Ginger's Facebook and just used like all those photos. And it was, I go, this could be my funeral. This is like just a tiny, like me, her and Tracy. I mean, just zillions. I go, I don't know which one of us is dead, honestly. We're just watching all of our lives like go by. But when we got to the funeral, when I got to the funeral home, I did not do well there. I ran right back out, just like a crazy person. Like, it was very like Dynasty or, you know, Falcon Crest. Like, no. I just stomped away. I was like, no, I can't. And I didn't really want to do that. And I knew that, like, when we found out she was cremated on the way there, and I was like, thank the Lord. Oh, my God. So anyhow, I went outside. I'm bawling. My friend, your friend, Kathy and Nicole were on their way in. Yep. I'm snotting everywhere. Kathy's holding my bag. She's like, look, I have a purse on for you. Anyway, we get back in, and just I don't know. It was super weird. Like, people were focused more on me and Tracy. Mm-hmm. Even her mom was like, come here. She loved you so much. Like, she
Yeah.
wanted me over there. And then at the funeral, like, it was like people turned and watched when we came down. It was like coming down the aisle. It was weird.
Yeah.
And people turned around and looked and watched us walk in. And Tracy's like, it feels like we're famous. And I was like, I don't want to be famous for this.
Right.
I don't want to be famous really at all.
Yeah.
Actually, that's changed a little bit. I kind of do. But anyhow, I just had a really hard time and I couldn't connect with anybody. And this last year, I got on meds for my bipolar, and that helped significantly with being able to manage my emotions when they come up. And I started trusting people a little bit more, being able to talk a little bit more about it. I started a different job, which was crucial to my mental health, one that I love. And then, it was one that I kind of felt like I felt a little bit better about talking about it there, because I could talk about it in a clinical way, instead of just being a mushy, like, oh, I miss my friend. It was just like, okay, well, no, here's the thing. My friend had this and she died by suicide. And, I just could speak about it a little bit more freely. And then that kind of cleared up a little space in my brain for me to really get through it a little bit better. This year was 4 years in December. In, I think, October or November, it's right before I saw you guys, I had one picture of her up in my house, and I had just finally ordered a few that I could print out, that I could look at. I could go to her page and scroll a little bit anyway.
Do you think it took longer to get to that point because of the way she died? Do you think it has anything to do with that?
A lot of it, I think, was, I just felt like she said goodbye the first time she tried it.
Yeah.
And the second time she didn't. And I felt like, okay, this is the first time maybe could have been a cry for help because she told us exactly what she took. She wouldn't tell us exactly what she took because she didn't want someone to call 911. She just needed to be at the hospital again, I think. Or if not, she needed to do what she had to do. I think it was kind of either or at that point. That's the way I kind of look at it anyway. Some of my friends are still kind of like, oh, no, she accidentally, she didn't mean to die. And I was like, she ate 2 fentanyl patches. So,
yeah, that's intention.
One of those is super lethal. 2 is like kill an elephant lethal. Right. So I was like, okay, but you being in denial is not helping me. Like, no. It doesn't make me feel better if you say, oh, she didn't mean to.
Yeah. Doesn't bring her back.
No, it doesn't change it. And it's also kind of lessening her struggle, right? You're kind of glossing over everything she went through and everything we went through as friends together.
That's so, wow, yeah.
And it kind of made me mad because I was like, have you ever called 911 on your, to have your friend fucking rush to the hospital after she tried to kill herself on your birthday? Or no? Okay, then shut the fuck up. I mean, I try to be obviously a little bit gracious with that, but I'm just like, don't gloss over this.
Right. It needs to be.
This is what this is.
In the light, right.
And she deserves.
Yes.
She deserves that. That's the last thing she wanted to do, and the only thing she felt like she could do. You know.
Yeah.
I think what eats me alive, and still every fucking day. Why didn't I fucking text her? Why didn't I not text her when she sent that message to me? Why didn't I text her? I was sitting right there. I had my phone right in my hand. I commented back. Why didn't I text her? I could have just, it would have just been like, hey, how are you? Is everything good? And it could have changed the trajectory from that point. It could have, I mean, maybe it couldn't have, maybe it didn't, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know, but
that's the struggle with being a survivor.
Because there's no way of knowing.
Yeah, there's no way of knowing.
And we didn't realize until after she died that she lied about her family knowing. Tracy and I knew. Nobody else knew.
Oh, wow.
So then there was a little bit of, I don't want to say,
had been in the hospital.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Some animosity, I think. Not animosity, I think just some confusion maybe, or some, not blaming exactly, but just like, why didn't you tell us this? Like, we thought you knew. We totally thought you knew. And they didn't find out until the funeral that this happened already. Or the visitation. We were at the funeral home. And Tracy's like, God, yeah, when she did this in August. And her sister's like, wait, what? And we're like, you didn't know that?
Wow.
Like, oh my God. So it just really felt like I was never angry with her. I was never angry about any of it. I was mad at myself mostly just because she would have checked on me. Like, she would have kept checking on me. She did check on me, like, all the time. Why was I giving her space? Why was I doing that? Did I kind of look back and I'm like, was it because I was seeing myself in her? Because I knew how she felt in some cases. I didn't know it was bipolar at that time, but I knew I had something. And I also have anxiety and panic and fucking Jesus, I'm a wreck. And bipolar 2, you end up, the mania isn't as drastic or destructive. Actually, it feels pretty good. It's like euphoria. But the depressive episodes are brutal. And oftentimes, my therapist said, more brutal than regular bipolar, the depressive. But the manic is less. So anyway, I don't know if it was just me trying to be in denial a little bit of my own shit that was cooking. And kind of like, how can I give her this advice? I'm not taking my own advice. Like, I'm not doing what I'm telling her to do. How can I expect her to make these moves and try to make herself well if I'm not doing it?
Do you think that's your biggest takeaway from this experience, is learning how your own brain works and how to do what you need to do to prevent yourself from being? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I am more astute with that now. I'm actually today's the best mental health day I've had in 2 months, I think. I'm mid-crash. I'm mid-depressive episode. So, and it's been a rough go. It's my first real depression since I've been on all of my meds. They kind of titrated it up to find the correct dosage and the correct medicines to use for what was going on with me. And finally, over the summer, we landed on a dose that worked and added a new medication. So I take 3. I take an antidepressant, I take an anti-anxiety, and I take a mood stabilizer. And we'd already dosed up the mood stabilizer. So anyhow, I'm mid now, but I know enough. I had a real bad, I came really close to doing something about it. It was a year ago in August. I just was like, today's the day. I just can't handle this anymore. And this was before I was on meds. I opened up my life insurance policies on my phone, and so that whoever came in would have them right there and could call. And I was like, I went to the kitchen and I was just gonna, what was in my, what can I take? What is in here? I had alcohol. I didn't really have anything to take though. And I was like, okay, well, you got box cutters. And then I don't know what happened. I just was standing in my kitchen and I'm like, just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Just go to bed right now. And in the morning, you have to call the doctor. You just have to do that. And so I did. And I did. And I called the doctor. And so now I know, since I know what it is, I know how to it was scary, I guess, learning what everything I had cooking, but at the same time, it was a relief because I'm like, okay, well, if you know what it is, you know, you can treat it, right? So I just had to, like last week, I had a telemed with my doctor, and I was just like, hey, I don't know what's happening, but I feel like this is not working. Like, do you get, can you build up a tolerance to it? And she's like, no. And she's got this really great Southern accent. So she's like, no, there is no way to have a tolerance built up against the medicines that you're taking. But I feel like what might be happening is we've only just started kind of playing around with the dosing here. And I feel like maybe we'll move you up to the next dose. And I was like, okay. And I go, yeah. I said, I can figure my cycles out. Like, I know when. And I go, I'm in one of the worst I've had in a long time. And it's gone on for months, a couple months. So she's like, all right, let's just go. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change your dosage a little bit. And then I don't know if you know this, but if you're in a crisis, we have a walk-in clinic, and I will make myself available. I'm available to all my patients. They can call me at any time. So if you feel like yourself, you feel like you need a little help, and you're running into a crisis, just come on in. Did you know that? Did you know that you could come in? I was like, no, I didn't, but she's got a really soothing voice. And I was like, no, but I'm really glad I do know that now. She's like, okay, well, I'm going to call this in. I'm going to chat with you in about 4 weeks. And we're going to see how things are going then. And if things still don't look good, well, we're going to get you on something else. She's like, I'm confident we're going to have you feeling better. I'm confident we're going to arrive at something that works.
Are you feeling better?
No, I just...
this was just last week.
Yeah, it was just last week. So my new dose came. Tonight is when I started. But today I woke up and I was like, I feel kind of okay.
Believing in her Southern confidence.
Yeah. I don't know. After that, I just, it's been like drapes closed, wearing the same pajama bottoms for 4 days in a row. Like, just a hot mess. My house is usually pretty spotless, and it's getting kind of
rough.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, just kind of final thoughts, what would you say to someone who is dealing with mental health compounded by the loss of someone?
You're going to feel like you're going absolutely crazy and you're spinning. Well, not everybody, but I mean, you might. I felt like that, and I always felt like I had a pretty sound mind. Even though I knew I had something cooking, I was always really pretty put together, I thought. And it can just knock you off your feet, like, faster than you think. But if you feel like you're not, you know yourself. Everybody knows themselves, and they know when they're not right. And they know when something's off personality-wise, or if their behavior's a little bit weird. I mean, they say crazy people don't know they're crazy, but that's not true. Like, right. You know.
Yeah.
Just call your doctor immediately. Yeah. Don't even fuck with it. Don't entertain. You'll never get it done on your own. You'll never think it away. You'll never power through it. You'll never, pray the cray away. Like, you can't. Right. It doesn't happen. You have to go to the doctor. It's your brain fucking you up. Like, it's a chemical thing your brain does. Some people have, heart disease. Some people have diabetes. Some people have, lung problems. Some people have mental health problems. It's just a medical thing. So don't fuck with it. Do not fuck with it. Don't think you can. I thought I could. I was like, I'm a fucking smart person, and I know I can do this. And then it got to a point where I was like, so close to making a really, really, really bad decision. Like, and I made a lot of bad decisions already. I mean, that driving, still haunts me. That's still something I can't. Again, thank God nobody got hurt. I mean, thank God. but I still am angry with myself about that. And how was I just so careless? But yeah, you got to just trust yourself when shit's going south and you feel like, ew.
That's a good point, though, how much like mental health gets considered different than everything else. Like you can put, like any other sickness. Like I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes last year. Never once did I think like, I can shake that shit off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I just gotta think positive and everything's gonna be fine. My blood sugars are gonna work itself out.
Yeah. Have you tried?
It's no different. You know what I mean? If you need help with something, you need help. But
just focus on the positive.
right? Yeah. It's like, nah, I'm stronger than this.
Yeah.
I'm much stronger than this. But what I really like about doing this show is, we've had several different guests with different stories, and this is the first time we've touched on suicide so specifically. But a lot of the stuff that you said, and I like that we just kind of let you talk and tell your story. Cause,
I'm sorry that I just
no,
talked, 'cause I
that's
just felt
what
like
we wanted. That's what we wanted.
It just turned into the Lisa podcast.
Because you know your story better than anybody else. But a lot of the stuff you said, like I can relate to, even though my story is different than yours, and a lot of people that will listen will feel the same way. Like, for example, like the whole thing about, when they took her urn and it really busted you up. For me, that was huge too. Like after the funeral, carrying mom's casket down the steps and then watching the hearse drive away. That moment, like watching that hearse drive off, was like the heaviest moment I had through all of it.
Nothing.
You really can't explain it.
In the world,
or the feelings of, could I have done something different? My mom was over 3 days before she died talking like a crazy person, not making any sense. And I should have been like, she needs to go to the hospital. And I took her home instead. It's shit I'll think about the rest of my life. But it's the kind of shit that, like, I don't know what it is or how to explain it, but like when you hear other people have gone through the same shit you have, it just makes you feel like, wow, like, okay, maybe I'm not super duper fucked up or not as alone in my fucked upness. And like I said, I think even people that haven't dealt with suicide, just some of the feelings you express, I think the listeners that we have will be like, dude.
Totally.
People have a lot of totally moments with the show.
I've had a lot of, I've had experience with death in general, and some were sudden and heartbreaking and horrifying, and not horrifying, but just, really rough for me. Close people. And then like my grandparents passed away. I witnessed that, and those were all very painful moments, but this one was just a little different and weird.
Yes,
it's absolutely surreal.
It's
like
surreal. It's weird.
Every day, it just feels like.
Hold on a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna text me, and not that long ago. It's probably 3 weeks ago, I think. Her birthday is this month as well, the 15th, and I was gonna text her and be like, "What should we do for your birthday this year?" Like I just forgot.
Yeah.
How do I forget that? Like, and then I'm just like, what's wrong with you? I don't know. It's just absolutely the weirdest thing. And sometimes I'm good. And sometimes I am sitting in my car and screaming and pounding the glass with my fist. Like, I have more good days than bad now, because I have medicine. And I realize what alcohol does to me. I still like alcohol, and I still drink alcohol, but I understand what it does with my meds. And so, I keep a close eye on that. And if I'm having, like right now, I'm in a depressive episode, so I won't have alcohol. When I'm in the euphoria, I call it the crazies. It's not. I shouldn't call it that probably, but it's called hypomania. When I'm there, I'm happy, and I can have a little wine and I'll feel okay, right? But if I'm in a dark place, if I'm in a real rough place, which right now, if I drink, it will be problematic. So just be mindful of that shit too. Yeah. Sneaks up on you. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think just coming to the understanding the 5 stages or whatever, and I haven't got to I still kind of circle through them, right? Like I don't.
That's the thing.
I don't know if that's. I don't know that that's even a thing.
You
where
don't
you hit the
ever
5 stages.
You don't know. Well, the thing
I
is
feel
that
like you
it is
just-
cyclical. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they don't tell you.
Yeah,
that
it
it's
is 5
cyclical.
stages,
Yeah.
but it's 5 stages over and over and over and over again.
yeah.
It's a loop. It's not like, oh, finally, I have reached the end.
Oh yeah, you don't
I'm
complete it. Get a
I'm done with the grief.
diploma and move.
Thank
to the
God.
next.
Let's go to Applebee's.
It really sucks when you put like a good chunk of time together where you're cool and you're like, I think I'm gonna be cool, and then it like comes back and you're like, I'm not cool at all.
Yeah.
I'm finally over it. Everything's great. And then all of a sudden, like, there was, well, I think I told you guys this, like, I saw a lady walking a dog that looked like her dog, and I just, I mean, I was in my car, and I was just like, just like bawled. And I was like, where did that come from? I was doing so well. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Out
just
of-
it sneaks up out of nowhere. But if you are also handling it with alcohol, stop that. I mean, you can't tell anybody to stop it. Really, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not saying get drunk. Don't do that. I just mean like, you know your body and you know if it's hurting you. So, but listen to your friends and listen to your doctor and go to the doctor if you haven't and go to the doctor if you haven't.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Those are good tips.
Thanks.
I know that's hard to talk about her. So thanks for coming in and sharing.
Yeah, sorry I got a little weepy there.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's probably the first episode I haven't gotten weepy, so someone had to do it. I appreciate you biting the bullet on that one.
Yeah.
We'll have to, I think there's a lot more to cover on this topic since we're just kind of just chipped away at a little bit after you sharing your personal story about Ginger. But
Yeah,
love
we
to
gotta
have
talk
you
about
back. Yeah.
the lady who received her organs died.
Oh my gosh. Let's have a second. Let's follow up this episode. Yes, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff we haven't talked about.
There's
as
plenty of
far
layers. This was just me mostly rambling and telling, like,
where you're at.
it was kind of cathartic, honestly, because I don't like talking about it, only because I feel so awkward. I just feel like I'm an emotional vampire and I'm just laying all this bullshit on people. And
you're welcome if you're listening. We went really long, but
It's okay though. There's no rules.
Yeah, there's no
Oh.
rules.
There's really no
what
rules.
time is it? Is it?
It's Wednesday. No.
Oh, God.
So let's put a pin in it and let's come back to this at a later date. I'd love to talk
Yeah,
more.
I feel like there's lots more we could talk about for
Yeah.
sure.
Can I end this with a funny joke?
Oh my gosh.
I think
Okay,
that's-
I want to say something really quick and I want to just squeak this in. I love Lisa. She's a woman of many talents, but her best talent is her voice, in my opinion. And after Ethan passed away, she sent me voice notes because I love voice notes. Sent me voice notes, and of course, it was something along the lines of like, "Hey, I don't really know what to say. I can't really relate to what you're going through." And that just being very sweet about everything. And she said, "So I'm going to do what I am good at, and I'm going to hit you with my best dick jokes." And she voice noted me. There was like,
Which I truly appreciate.
And I was
it's
trying
a
to-
Drew Carey book.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He says it's called Dirty Jokes and Beer, and there's a whole section, a chapter dedicated just to dick jokes.
And it was absolutely in the wake of just horrible tragedy, the beacon of light that I really needed. And I go back and listen to them often because it was just like, it was literally like 2 days after Ethan died. And so it was just like, it was so good. So I do want you to end this on a joke because you are.
It's Ginger's favorite joke.
Okay.
It's Ginger, and it's stupid, and
Okay.
it's mean-spirited. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. A lady goes into the grocery store and she gets to the checkout and she puts on the little, the conveyor belt, 1 container of orange juice, a half gallon of milk, 2 TV dinners, a small bottle of dish soap, and 2 packages of ramen noodles. And the guy's ringing her up and he looks at her and he's scanning her items and he goes, "Single, huh?" And she's like, "How'd you know?" And he goes, "'Cause you're ugly."
It was a pretty great joke.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
It was
you, Ginger.
Ginger's favorite joke.
That
So
was so
yeah.
What a lovely sentiment. Lovely.
Some things you can't fix.
yeah,
No, that's true.
because you're ugly.
As a man who pays his bills with dick jokes, I can appreciate that a lot. It's, just everything about that whole last chunk of dialogue there.
I was really hoping you weren't going to be mad about the dick jokes because I was just like,
No.
But I didn't want
was-
to contact you immediately because I was like, you're just going to get a whole I mean, I just knew
Yeah.
how I felt, like
Yeah.
overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
how do you respond to all of that? And
Oh, it was
I
so
don't want to
perfect.
hear it, but I do want to hear it. Like,
Right.
hug me, but stand away from me, but come here, but get away. And,
Yeah.
you know, it was just,
Tiff got mad at me. I can't even remember what the joke was, but she said, I usually can't help myself. I try to just like hurt people with my words on a regular basis, as long as there's humor to it. And I think I said something that I thought was maybe a bit much, and you didn't respond right away. And I said, just kidding. And you said, don't you ever explain your humor to me, ever.
Don't you
So
ever
now
apologize.
I don't anymore.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I stood in my kitchen and I read dick jokes.
That's a good friend.
No, legit.
good friend.
Legit. Like, hit me right where I needed it.
I was just like, I don't know what to say. What do you say? Nothing anybody said to me worked.
It
What-
weren't the dick jokes you wanted. They were the dick jokes you needed.
That's right. Oh. You guys, this was great.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
I didn't, but I did too,
Right.
kind of.
That's a weird thing. Yeah.
I've been holding in a fart for a really long time.
So it wasn't the chair.
That one was, but it just.
Oh, all right. We're wrapping it up. They're losing their minds in here. Listen, thanks for tuning in. Hope that you got something out of this long, elaborate episode. And if you have questions, comments, ideas, you want to express something, you want to share something with us, hit us up on our Facebook page. You can find all of these episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube
You can. Every Sunday night
every Sunday.
on average.
That's right.
If you have any sentiments that you want to reach out to Lisa, feel free to contact the show page. We'd be glad to forward those along to her. And because we don't know for sure how many of you are out there who are listening to us.
we
We hope
don't.
we hope
Maybe
it's a
not.
bunch. We're gonna figure that out at some point. But it's good to be here and talking and being, having a dialogue about stuff. And we appreciate everybody that's taking the time to listen and still with us.
That's right. So until we meet again.
Indeed. Hang in there, guys.